Hey guys, it's Sunday afternoon, it's day 43, and today we are going to investigate the issues from last night. There seems to be a corruption of data somewhere along the line here, because while I was looking at our fire and trying to get it work that it needs resource, we came across a problem, and that problem manifests quite obviously when we open our fuel. Okay. Now we can see here that this is a fuel structure, and these somehow have become helpers when they shouldn't be. Okay, now if I am correct, then a lot of our other stuff is going to be the same. So you can see here that this is the same. So it appears all our interactable items have screwed up somehow. Or let me put it this way, I understand now. All inventory items have screwed up. Okay. Now, I don't know what that is. I've been informed Kent didn't change anything. And I've no reason to disbelieve him, because he wouldn't change all of the interactable items, right? So that doesn't seem a reasonable thing to have happened. But then again, it has. And I can only assume that this struct has changed. Okay? So we need to have a look at, I don't know why I keep doing that, and it's struct inventory item. Okay, and for some reason these are all helpers now, which they shouldn't be. It should be struct weapon, struct food, struct drink, struct clothing, struct fuel. Now if we go back to fire, or sorry, fire is not a refresh that, this should go in here. Okay. What's the game about? It's a Viking survival. I wouldn't say horror, right? I would say thriller with horror elements. So it's a good description would be a mix between The Long Dark, zombie apocalypse, set in Greenland. How's about that? Right, so fuel is going to go in there. And we're going to be doing all of them. Right. So we need to go in here. We'll need to do drink. Don't know why this has happened. It's really weird. Okay. What else have we got to do? So we've done weapon. You can't lift the ladder. Did I do food? No. Alright. Now I have absolutely zero idea why this why this broke. It is bizarre. But yeah. Interactable based data. I'm thinking here that we might need this here, but okay. Right. So the problem at the moment is it's a database problem, right? But with data tables, we have a number of item numbers that need to be linked together, right? So there needs to be a central repository for them. Okay. So it's definitely going to have to be in here, and it's definitely going to have to be in here. Okay, so basically we need to change our struct interactable base data, right? So this is going to be DT interactable row number. Okay. And we are actually going to put this at the top. Okay. Well, that was a bit stupid. I moved the wrong one. Right, so we're going to do a name. That's going to go up, 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 up. Okay. Now, okie doke. So when we do this one, or when we do this, that is a 1. Okay, now the reason I know that is because if we go in here, dry wood is a 1. Okay. Now all of these things we can start removing them. Okay. So it would start being a good idea. Hi Kelvin, how you doing, bud? I'm trying to fix, how am I doing? I'm doing okay, but I'm trying to fix a weird thing that basically I had an item with a whole load of structs, and somehow all the structs changed for some reason, right, to very similar structs but not the right ones. So all of these structs in a certain blueprint somehow ended up being changed to these structs, right? These structs are used for my editor helper, right, where I can place things. So for example, right, and this is what was happening last night, that things were screwy, right? So basically my editor helper stopped running and stuff like that, So, like this. Yeah, things like that were happening. Things like that were happening last night. Well, the problem at the moment is if this continues, I may have to go to a previous backup, because basically it's fucked. Pardon the French. There's something really weird going on. Right, let's open our editor helper and see what's going on. Now this should all be fine. But for some reason, as you saw just a moment ago, the whole thing is falling on its ass. Right? And this might be the shortest stream I've ever done if this carries on the way it's going, because this is a bit of a showstopper. Right, so that did work that time, right? So that's fine. And that's not a 1. Right, that is actually something else. Okay. Now, our issue here, right? This is our issue. We need the thing we were working on last night, which this has got me slightly confused again. And I wouldn't be surprised if this had all went to pot again. Right? Well, it hasn't, thank goodness, but let's have a look at our fuel. Wherever the heck it is. No, I didn't change anything, Kelvin. That's the strange thing about it. It just, for some reason, a whole bunch of structs had changed to other structs. And I don't know why. Right, these seem to be still okay. What happened, right, was this. Let me... And the struct thing's usually more of a problem when you're doing a build, right? That's when you tend to have to well, basically what you do is you go into your affected function or blueprint and you just basically refresh all nodes, and then you do a full compile and you just go through every single blueprint that it says it's affecting, right? I've been through this whole rigmarole before. This is why it's such a weird one. I've never seen anything like it, right? Because basically what it did, right, was... Don't ask me how, right? Because I've no idea. But I've got these item structs, okay? For clothing, fire, struct food, struct fuel, struct ladder, right? All that stuff, right? But I use a set of these called helper ones, right? And these are the ones that's used in the editor, right? To help build up an item when I'm placing it in the world, right? When I use this, right, to place items in the world and set them all up properly and all that stuff, right? So it uses these ones, right? But for some reason, last night, I noticed that this inventory item, right? These had all changed to helper. So this was struct helper weapon, struct helper food, struct helper, helper. And there was no reason for it at all, because this shouldn't use the helper. It's only the editor widget that uses the helper ones. So I can't explain it, right? Just totally don't know. Totally weird. Right? And I hadn't come across it up until that point because I haven't been working on inventory items, right? Until last night. So I'd been working on things that you couldn't pick up, like the fire, right? And the fire isn't an inventory item. It's just a fire, right? So you can't pick it up. So it was only when I started doing a check on the fire that you need wood to start the fire. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to check with my colleague because we use... You see this? All of this has changed again, even though I haven't changed anything. So there's something weird going on. Okay? So under normal circumstances, I would do that. Except what I'll do is I'll do a save all on this. I'll close it and then I commit, and this is all done in GitHub, right? Then I push it So I don't know how far back we've got a backup. Right? We have got lots and lots of backups, but you'll notice and what I did notice last night is when I closed the project down like I just did there, it crashed again. Now, if I look here, right, there's no changes because there shouldn't be because I've just saved it, right? Close that, cancel that. Maps, test map. Right, now if I open this, right, there shouldn't be any changes, so that's right. If we went to fuel, that should be okay now, which it is. Okay, that doesn't need to save anything. So that's okay. Okay. Right. I think we're back to okay. I think. Right. But so in interactable base data, right, we've now got this, which is kind of what we need. Right. So our issue is in here. So we can try testing this again and find out what we need. Okay, so that's fine as well. So the thing here is I need to in our interactable items, when we do this, hi Stormrun Gaming, how you doing, bud? We're only seven subscribers short of 700, so hit that subscribe button, guys. Right, here's this problem again. Right, struck fuel, Right, we need to refresh this. Storm Run, I hate to break it to you, but if I was you, I wouldn't spend any time doing maps or anything, because that's not really going to help you learn Unreal Engine. I would just be trying to do mechanics. Right, so in here we want to change this to a name, right? So that was our inventory item. Right, so this is going to be a name. Save that. And we'll push this to the top. Right, we'll save that. Then we need to, this was all needing done. This isn't part of the thing that was weird and borked up, but because I started doing this for using items, right, I have to fix it basically. Well, there's nothing wrong with using tutorials, just don't rely on them. That's what I would say on the issue. Right. So, we need to do this with all our individual items. Or do we? Yeah, probably we do. Yep. I wasn't talking about a cell shader, that was Kent. I think Storm's making a Pokemon type thing. Screen Apple, how you doing, bud? Right, so fuel. We're going to do the same thing there. Save that. Right. So clothing, got to do it with a drink. Don't know why that's so close. Right, that one's not needed. We have to do it with food. Alright, save that. Right, so that's that one done. And now we need to do, well, we did the fuel, I think. Yeah, we've done fuel. So that's okay. And info only, BP weapon. Right. And that can go there. Save that. Drag it out a bit. There we go. If you want my advice, storm run, right? Then this is what I tell everybody. The first thing that you should do, guys, is do a menu, right? And I'm not talking about a start button and an exit button. I'm talking about a fully working menu, right? It's a good way to get into widgets. You're going to use widgets in your game anyway because it's part of your HUD, your display, everything like that. So it teaches you everything to do about widgets, plus all the different nodes that you'll need to use. You know, all of this stuff. You need to use it in a menu. And basically, it's about the only thing in games design that you can reliably say is definitely going to be in a game, right? You can definitely say that a menu is going to be in a game, right? Because basically without a menu you ain't got no game. So that's the advice I normally give to any beginner, right? Is make a menu. And normally if I'm talking to somebody on Discord or whatever, I can gauge then by whether they actually do it or not is basically if they're ever going to make a game or not. If you can't make a menu, you ain't making a game, right? Simple as that. So as I said, my first piece of advice for new guys to Unreal Engine is make a menu. And guys, I'm only 7. I'm gonna have to check this, but I need you guys to hit the subscribe button because I'm only 7 away. I'm only 6 away. Six people out of how many billion? About 8 billion on the planet. And I only need 6 of them to hit that button to hit 700. Right, so hopefully we are back, right? Now, what we're going to now do is, oh, interesting. It just needs a refresh. Oh, it doesn't need a duplicate. That needs a refresh. Right? And that's cool because now this is also a name. Right? So we can basically say if this equals and this can go straight in here. Then this can go in here. Okay, it's a good point here for me to go and grab a cigarette, right? Because we're just about to start testing this again. So I'm going to go and grab a cigarette. You guys are going to hit the subscribe button and get me a bloody 700s, right? And then when I come back, we're actually going to use resources to light a fire. Okay, so I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we are back. Now, I've just come to a little realisation. As I said, I think best when I'm out having a cigarette. It's usually when I solve any problems I've got. Programming that is. Excuse me. Right, what I'm thinking here is I shouldn't be checking an item. I should be checking for an item type. Right, because basically you need fuel to make a fire, but not necessarily just wood. One entry, right? So in effect, we should really be looking for an item type. So this DT required items should not actually be a specific item. What it should be is an item type. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make an amendment to a struct. Right, so this struct required items, right, should actually be now. I don't know if that's the right thing or not. And I don't know why these have shown up. Right, this appears to be the wrong thing. Item type, enum, interactable. Okay. So it's going to be E item type required. I think I'm going to have to actually make a new type for this, right? Yeah, let's do that. Right, okay. Required items. So we're going to do structure, struct, item type, and quantity. Right? B don't think it's, no, it's not that. Hi. Sorry, can't pronounce that. What was that? Enum interactable. Right, okay. Enum interactable type. Right. So that is going to be item type. Okay. And quantity. And that quantity is going to be an integer. So we save that. We go back to our struct required items. We add a new variable. Call it item type. And quantity. Struct item type and quantity. Okay. So now if we go back to our function library, and we need to update this required items. Okay. So we're going to require fuel, and we're going to require, let's say, 40. Okay. So we can save that. And go back to our function. Okay. And we've screwed that up. Right, because this can be an array. Okay. I don't know why I keep minimizing that. It's just habit I've got of pressing play and... Right. So what we do is we go for each. It's not going to be that much different from what we're doing at the moment, right? but we are going to delete that. Okay, and we are going to delete that, and we are going to delete that. And we are going to delete that, and we're going to say equals okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to break that. We're going to do that, and we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. Now, this length isn't going to be here. Okay. It's going to be over here. I've got the stickiest mouse mat. Well, it's not really a mouse mat, it's the keyboard rest on my Alberto. Which doubles as a mouse pad as well as a keyboard holdery thing. So we're going to get length, right? Because that's the number of items that we need to check. Okay, and the logic stays the same otherwise. Except now what we're doing is we're checking our item type, and then we're checking the quantity, right? Okay, so this should actually fail, okay, because we've asked for 40, okay. I'm going to do a save all. So we're going to test this out. Okay, whatever. You see, this is all buggered up. Alright, food, drink, refresh. Okay, this needs a bit of tidying up, but there's a lot more to be done with that yet. And it looks as if we're moving into the interactable thing area again in the next day or so, so we're going to be working on this. At the moment, the inventory stuff, when you hit the use button, you'll only be able to use food and drink, right? Some of them, it doesn't make sense to use some of them. We probably need to get rid of that button if we're not using it, but for the moment we only use it for food and drink, which makes sense. Okay. So we'll save all again. Press play. Right. Well, thank God we can still pick up things. Right. Now, it didn't go in there, which was a bit worrying. Right, don't worry about that. What we want to do is add a breakpoint here and here and probably here and most likely here. Okay. And I want to make sure that our inventory still works, which it does. Right. So let's see what we get here. I think I know what the problem is here. This was a problem the other night, that for some reason during all of this can use needs resource. That's right. Required items. That's right. I believe that's should be 6, but we'll worry about that later. So apparently our fire is not doing what it should be doing. Or hang on a second, it's actually in widgets. Let's get our interact widget back up. Graph, breakpoint. Right, and this is where it should be firing, okay? So we'll pick this up. And then it's coming in here. Needs resource is false for some unknown reason. I don't know what's going on with that, like. Right, because look, needs resource. Yeah, it does. So why is it not doing it? Okay, so fire. Right. Needs resource, can use. Right, and that should be 6. So we'll press play on that. Right, thank you. Need resource true. Don't know why it was doing that weird stuff. Right. Here we go. We need row 1 from this, which is fine. Number of items required. What? Eh? Right, wait a minute. Right, see this DT required items row? This should not be multiple. The multiple should be in the actual data table, not in here. Okay. Dismiss that for now. So that should be a single number. Delete that. That should go in there. That should go in there. And we're gradually actually cutting this code down quite a lot. That should go to there. Compile that. Now we need to go to our interact. And our interactable base data needs to change. Interactable base data needs to be that. Save that. And now we are going to have screwed up our editor. And we're going to save 1 for that for now. And now we have that back. Now, I'm guessing all our fires are kind of wrong now. That's DT items row number. And this is in item data. Right, so item data needs to change. But the question is, what is item data? Item data, I believe, is this here. Yeah, DT required items row number. Right, so this should not be an array. You see? So why? Well, colour me confused here. As to why that doesn't bring in the right thing. Right, if I bring it in there, that's still an array. It's in item data. Right, so that must be in here. Must be an interactable item. Right. Interactable based data, and that's right. Okay. That should go in there. Okay. Now that's because when I was using the item, it was doing the check again, so it was failing there because... Ah, wait a minute. We need this as well. Right. going to have to check for anything else. No, that looks okay. Right. Remember guys, only 6 short subscribers to hit that 700 mark. Let's see if we can do it. Well, it's not really we, it's you, isn't it? Let's see if you can do it. Yeah, we're 6 short still. Right, so our next thing is, if we now click on that, right, 1. Now, just for a laugh, we can make this 6. Right. And now, hopefully, I don't believe this. Right guys, well this is loading up, I'm going for a cigarette, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I know it crashed. My editor crashed. Well, what have we lost this time? This is absolutely getting a bit ridiculous. Not the best. I did do plenty saving there though, I think. Right, all of that was saved, I think. Oh, what is going on? Just what is going on? Okay, that kinda makes sense. I don't know why it needed to crash the last time though. It could have just not crashed and just told me there was errors. Well, I don't think you're going to really sit down at Unreal Engine and make a classic game and never save your game or never switch your computer off or never... I just don't think it's going to happen. The best you can hope for is not to lose too much, right? And the thing about it is once you do it once, you can kind of do it all the time. You know, once you've done something, you kind of quickly, if you have a problem, you can quickly get back to it. Now, we did have an error on, I believe, well, let's see. What we'll do is we'll do a save all again, right? And we'll press play. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually crashes there, but that's what I was hoping would happen. Right, at least it would tell me what the problem was. Right, what's the problem now? Struct item. Eh? What the heck's going on here? I mean, what? I think we're going to have these issues going forward. I think we're going to have them for a day or two where I'm opening things up that I haven't used for a while, and these errors have manifested. Right, now that is bollocks. Okay. Again, enable that breakpoint. Enable that breakpoint. Run. Right. So it's going in there. Requires. Resume. Okay. This should be a 1. Which is, right? Step over. Required items should be something, and it's not. Okay. Okay, are you gonna be like that, are you? Don't know why I keep doing that. Right, DT required items. 1. Item name should say Brazier. Right? Look. Did we add an item type? I don't know if we did or not. So that's fuel. We did, because remember we put in 40. Well, there you just saw it messed up a data table, right? I don't rage because I've had it happen before, and you can normally get it back. There are ways to get stuff back, right? Some of them are not ideal, but if you remember to save enough, you don't lose that much time. I mean, let's face it, right? if I stream for 2 hours and at the end it crashes and I lose everything, well, I've just lost 2 hours, that's it, right? And probably the stuff that I was doing, I can do it again in half an hour, right? Because I've just done it, so you normally remember what you were doing at the time, right? So it's not that big of a deal usually. My worry is that it is doing a couple of things here that are kind of strange, right? Which kind of worries me a little bit. So now we should actually get a 1 here, right? So this should be 1. Yeah, there's a 1. Okay. And we should get an item type out of this of fuel. Okay. So now the quantity isn't going to be enough because this should be 40, right? So this is going to be false. Yeah, that's going to be true. Yep, that's going to be false, which is correct. And let's just do this widget reflector again for you guys so you can see it better. Right. So as I said, this is going to be true, that's going to be false. That's because the item type is fuel and it is fuel. Right? We have got fuel in our inventory. This is us checking our inventory, right? But the quantity, it requires 40, right? This will say 40, or it would, if we could see it, right? And this will say 1. Sorry, all the way around. This will say 1, this will say 40, which means that this isn't greater than or equal to, which makes that false, right? So that's false, but this is true. So basically, if we do zoom, it doesn't show. Okay? Now, we can do something with that, because if we say 1 here, so we require 1 fuel, okay, and we press play, now the next time this works we should get a true. We should get 2 trues, right? So resume that, and our next breakpoint is going to be here. So if we resume to here, this is going to be true, and this is going to be true. Resume, we get our light. So that works absolutely perfectly. Okay. So if we haven't got our log in the inventory, right, we can't light it. Now I don't know if that, oh we did, right, okay. So we dropped it, and for some reason I pressed stop instead of continuing, but anyway. So we're not going to pick it up, and we don't get an option now. We shouldn't anyway. Resume that. Disable that. Resume that. Okay, we've got nothing. So it doesn't let us light it, right? It doesn't let us light it. It doesn't give us the option. Okay. If we do have the option, You'll notice we hit this breakpoint. Resume. We can light it. Now the question is, if I light that, if we go to our inventory, we've still got it, right? So we need to do something about that, so that when we use an item that requires stuff, we actually remove it from our inventory. Okay, in the meantime, I'm going to tidy this up a bit. Okay, so we need to go to our interactable item, I believe. Yeah, see that? We'd not actually taken them out of the inventory. Which is probably why I've commented it, actually. Yeah, I've probably commented that so that we can take it out. Okay, now all we actually need to do is, I'm pretty sure we've got to remove item from inventory, but I think it's in the pawn, right, which would make sense. So we'll have a look at our pawn, see what we've got. Right, so update, add to, oh, apparently we don't, unless it's a custom event. Let's have a look. Event, initialize can put action, remove bow action, It's none of them. It's not input, event eat, event drink. Let's have a look at our event drink, right? And I hit a button on the side of my mouse again. I am surprised I am very surprised I don't have a remove from inventory thing. Right? Now, am really surprised that I don't remove things from the inventory. And I don't believe that for a second. So I'm going to have a look in interactable items, right? And I'm going to go BP food. Right, so event, we've got add item to inventory. Event use item, though that's not really the same because we're not removing it from the inventory, right? So I'm going to have to say that it would have to be in the inventory. Right? And if it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be in this use. Right? And this is it here. This is the code here to remove the item from the inventory. Right? Now, I'm betting quite a lot that my intention wasn't to leave this code here. Right? So what we'll do is we'll create a new function. Remove item from inventory. Okay, this is, guys, we're in a blueprint function library for this, so we can call it from anywhere. Okay, so we are basically going to say item number, and that's going to be a name. Quantity, it's going to be integer. Pawn, it's going to be Groenland pawn. Okay. And if we go into our inventory main, we basically copy this, that's going to go in there. That goes there. That comes out. That goes there. And that goes there. And this is get pawn. Save that. Okay. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. You'll have to join me tonight at 8 p.m. to find out if we have actually fixed this and we apply it to our fire. I'll let you know how many more problems, weird issues I've had. Right? And we shall take it from there. This will need some work, right? Because basically, if you remove more than... This is going by the fact that you're going to remove one. But that's not necessarily the case in this, right? So this is the very first iteration of this. It'll work, but only for like one item at a time, right? So I'm going to continue with this. I'll be back at 8 p.m. Join me then. Get me to 700, guys. I only need about 5 or something. So hit that subscribe button. Check out the description for Discord for the game. My personal Discord as well. And links to Patreon and also my previous game on Steam, which is on sale for $1 right now. I'll be back at 8. Bye bye for now.